From the murky waters of the sportsman's paradise, stories emerge. Stories of the generations of people who have shared in the bounties of the land. Stories of communities that have persevered through natural disasters. Stories of the abundance of fish, wildlife, and adventures that create an ecosystem rich in diversity. And from the silted banks of the mighty Mississippi to the soggy marsh bottoms, from the tops of towering pine forests to the depths of the salty Gulf, human and animal have shared this fortune for centuries. Enjoy these stories as told by outdoor journalists who travel across our state, documenting the adventure, sportsmanship, and heritage that make us Bayou Wild.
An outdoor adventure can begin anywhere. We first visited the Sanctuary Lodge in Woodville, Mississippi over a year ago and learned about the diverse trophy wildlife that call its rolling hills home. Our second visit was to harvest a trophy bull elk and to also learn and understand the different practices of managing the whitetail, fallow, and elk that live at the sanctuary.
We learned a lot. We learned a lot about where the elk hung out. They pattern very differently during rut than they do the rest of the year. And during rut, the bulls are rounding up their cows and they're keeping them in the open fields where they can keep an eye on them and watch all the satellite bulls and run off all the other guys.
We're at the end of the season and it feels so good to not have to be the shooter for once. As fun as it is to hunt, there is that pressure, and watching somebody else do it is, I can see, just as enjoyable as taking the animal yourself. It certainly takes a lot of the stress off, but it's neat to now understand the feeling that the hunter goes through and see it observed and how they keep their cool. And
we saw these guys when we were first walking in, and we caught the smell of them downwind. We just literally creeped and walked about 300 yards and came around this hill. And as soon as I peeked over, all I could see was horns, and he looks up at me, and he's like 30 yards away.
What goes on when you're out of that experience, when you're not holding the gun? And you get to look around a lot more. You don't have to be thinking as hard, so it's definitely more relaxing.
Closed captioning made possible by Ceto.com. Become a member.
Hi, I'm Donnie Rouse. There are a lot of different reasons to shop at Rouse's.
It's the people. Everybody that works here is just so nice.
Our stores get deliveries 7 days a week.
They have such a wide variety at Rouse's. Everything's in stock. I mean, everything.
We use Rouse family recipes and ingredients found right here in the store.
It's the food. Rouse's food tastes like homemade.
And they're local.
Like us.
We also have great prices.
That's the difference Rouse's makes.
Want to be seen on a Bayou Wild episode? Sign up for our Cajun Invasion wild pheasant hunt in the remote hills of South Dakota in mid-November. Bad River Bucks and Birds provides lodging, meals, transportation, dogs, and bird cleaning. Details at dontheoutdoorsguide.com. If you're lucky enough to bag a deer or a hog this season, bring it here to Double D. Double D processes hogs and exotic game and guarantees your product is always the meat you brought to Double D.
Double D Meats in Bogalusa, home of country smoked, spicy jalapeno cheddar, and other customized flavors.
Bring your deer or your hog here to Double D, where you always get your meat back in return. It's worth a drive to Bogalusa from anywhere. Double D.
This year, in several states, I had the opportunity to observe a lot more. I've seen a lot more deer, which has helped educate me in aging animals and really figuring out what are shooters and learning the difference in body size versus their antlers, because that's really not your tell in age. When you get a big field with 30 animals in it, it's absolutely a treat. I mean, I don't think any nature lover wouldn't enjoy sitting out there all day watching them, because there's just so much to see. You can compare, contrast, watch their behavior, watch them run around, see if they're still rutting or if they're hungry. It's something you can watch all day. I've learned that hanging out at the lodge, playing cards, and sharing hunting stories is a great way to expand my knowledge of hunting practices.
So, judging my cards, this would be a really good 10-point right here.
That's a nice 10-point.
Look like that one right there.
Oh boy, that same one. 1, 2, 3, drop. Oh boy, oh boy.
We sat around the card table and talked hunting for hours. We talked about the animals seen earlier in the day, and we shared hunting stories from the past, and even our different opinions on hunting. I've learned hunting different high fences is you do have to think about it more.
You're hunting a different way.
Yeah, it's not
out in
easier.
open range, 8-point comes out, you're shooting it,
yeah.
and then you're, okay, is it outside the ears or it is
Doesn't-
inside?
yeah.
We're just gonna shoot it and we'll figure it out when it's on the ground.
It's a big, yeah.
You see a lot more deer and you have a lot more action, which to me, and I think these guys would agree, you enjoy, but you're also spending more time truly managing what you're doing.
But you also learn more about the deer, because I'm only as a 2-year deer hunter, I'm still very green.
And I think all of us can say that we truly have come to appreciate the difference in the mindset and what we're trying to achieve and the management style we're trying to achieve.
But the conversation kept reverting back to the elk. We learned from Jeff that he learned a lot about spot stalking. They hunted really hard in October. They tend to have a more herd mentality, which makes hunting them more challenging.
The old bucket lister was to take a trip to Colorado or New Mexico and make the elk hunt. That was something I've always wanted to do.
But you don't have to. Do you still want to, even though you got them in your backyard?
I do. I still want to, because obviously it's a very different terrain and environment and experience.
What's unique about the Sanctuary Lodge is the opportunity for us to not only hunt the elk, but also admire their beauty and study their habits without trekking across the country. So with the elk, the problem is they seem a little more territorial in the protective sense.
Yeah, the elk are definitely more of a herd animal. Other than rut, you really always see the elk, they're in herds. Whether they're in subgroups or one big group, certain times of the year, they'll all pack together. We learned a lot. We learned a lot about where the elk hung out. They pattern very differently during rut than they do the rest of the year. And during rut, the bulls are rounding up their cows and they're keeping them in the open fields where they can keep an eye on them and watch all the satellite bulls and run off all the other guys.
We've learned the hard work and dedication that goes into maintaining these herds. Though they live on one property, they are intelligent and instinctual animals. After many hours of learning the do's and don'ts of hunting elk, both in the rut and out, Jeff Rogers finally gets his chance to harvest his very first bull coming up.
We started stalking. Chris and I probably walked 250 yards. One of the spikes saw us, they ran off around a corner and we came around the other side and set up on them and waiting for them to come back down over this ridge. And I look over to my left and here's this guy, but he saw us. We both saw each other at the same time and I shot really fast. I had to.
We got him.
I've been using Louisiana fish fry products so much, even the kids are getting into it.
Funny yellow bag, pour and boil, the great crawfish every time.
And whether you're boiling crawfish, shrimp, or crabs, Louisiana fish fry products use the perfect blend of garlic, onion, spices, and salt for your seafood boils. So look for the bright yellow bag and pour and boil with Louisiana fish fry products.
Whooping cranes are back in Louisiana. Through the hard work of biologists and key strategic partners, whooping cranes have been restored to the cultural icon they once were, but you can still help. To donate to the Whooping Crane program, visit lawff.org.
Thank you to Chevron and the Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries Foundation for their generous support.
All right, we like to feature what we cook up here at Sanctuary Lodge. It's first night up here. We're kind of excited to be here. We're going with something that's not too difficult, but we're going to do some elk burgers, unique, delicious. We're going to do some roasted potatoes. So we're going to start with grilling some onions for our elk burgers. We're going to use a little Wright brand bacon, and we're going to season them up well. A lot of salt, a lot of pepper, and obviously a lot of bacon. So let's go ahead and move on to the grill. You got to over-salt your meat on the grill because half of it falls off. That's how we do it here at the Sanctuary. Voila, elk burgers on a green egg. All right, here we are. Flip our elk burgers. So the difference between, in my opinion, an elk burger and regular ground meat is truly just a unique flavor that you get with elk. That's really hard to explain unless you eat it or taste it. It's very lean. In my opinion, it's by far the best wild game that you can eat. Of course, this is processed elk. I have it mixed with brisket. I do an 85 elk, 15% brisket. And that's my favorite way of doing it.
Hi, I'm Donnie Rouse. There are a lot of different reasons to shop at Rouse's.
It's the people. Everybody that works here is just so nice.
Our stores get deliveries 7 days a week.
They have such a wide variety at Rouse's. Everything's in stock. I mean, everything.
We use Rouse family recipes and ingredients found right here in the store.
It's the food. Rouse's food tastes like homemade.
And they're local.
Like us.
We also have great prices.
That's the difference Rouse's makes.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
Some things in life smell delicious. Others, not so much. Like a gas leak. Propane, for instance, is naturally odorless. That's why we add strong odorants to alert you if there is a leak. So if you ever smell gas, turn your system off at the tank and call your propane dealer immediately. Propane is a safe and exceptional fuel, and we want to keep it that way.
All right, let's get us a beautiful elk burger. Gotta have some bacon, sizzling Vidalia onions, some Alvin Ray's Bayou pickles. And that, my friend, is what you call a burger.
Boat fishing the CCA Star Tournament. Felt surreal for about a week.
My name is Amelia, and I'm from Abbeville, and I won this boat.
There's 100 redfish waiting. It all starts Memorial Day weekend. Sign up today.
Want to be seen on a Bayou Wild episode? Sign up for our Cajun Invasion wild pheasant hunt in the remote hills of South Dakota in mid-November. Bad River Bucks and Birds provides lodging, meals, transportation, dogs, and bird cleaning. Details at dontheoutdoorsguy.com.
In 1967, Dutch Stogner realized his dream to run his own meat market. 50 years and 3 generations later, Double D and the Stogner family still operate with Dutch's original commitment to quality. Pick up some Double D sausage today and share your good times with us on Facebook.
So the original intent was to come up here and try and harvest an elk with a bow. However, being late season, post-rut, the elk tend to congregate a lot more. We have to maximize what we see, but we knew that if we split up, we'd have a better opportunity to get to where they were. And there's a lot of ways it could have backfired, but I think splitting up and going in stealth and not shooting from a blind was the way to go. There are so many more elements to stalking animals because they have way better senses than we do. Obviously, they're faster, they can get away. So when you're spot stalking animals, you have to be aware of every movement you make, and it's much more challenging to get closer to an animal when they can actually see you or bust you. And if they do, and they decide to run, it's over. You might be going for another couple hours, and even in a contained property, it could have been a lot harder.
We started stalking. Chris and I probably walked 250 yards. One of the spikes saw us, they ran off around a corner, and we came around the other side and set up on them and waiting for them to come back down over this ridge.
A lot of hunters may never understand the difficulty of shooting an animal from a spot stalk perspective, and it makes it so much easier to miss or take a bad shot when you have to control your breathing, hold the gun up, and you don't have anything to stabilize it.
Now look over to my left, and here's this guy, but he saw us. We both saw each other at the same time, and I shot really fast. I had to. We got him. Holy cow. We saw these guys when we were first walking in, and we caught the smell of them downwind. We just literally creeped and walked about 300 yards and came around this hill. And as soon as I peeked over, all I could see was horns, and he looks up at me, and he's like 30 yards away. I was just fortunate enough to make a great shot on him. I mean, right here. He ran 40 yards, and there he is.
I think a lot of folks have the wrong impression of people that have places like this, think that they can just go and take whatever they want. But there's a lot of management aspect to it. Jeff owns this property, has the right to make whatever decision he wants, and he chose to be responsible, and in 4 years, took his first bull elk, which was a very well-chosen animal. It was old, it was post-rut, he may not have ever gotten any bigger than that, and it was his time.
You can tell we're post-rut now, and this guy is just run down. He's probably 200 pounds lighter than he would be pre-rut. He's just run down. He's been chasing cows for 2 months, 3 months. So you can tell he's at least 20% of what he would normally, 20 to 30% lighter than he would normally be.
A lot of elk hunters want to go do the western hunts, and they have the same challenges. This isn't a flat property. This animal literally went to the steepest embankment it could have gone down, and then it weighs 500 pounds, so you have to figure out what your machinery can withstand. We used 2 vehicles, 3 people, ropes, chains, winches, and it was a process because they challenge anything, whether it's your muscles or your machinery. It's definitely a bit of a puzzle to get it out.
Whether you're hunting high fence or wild terrain, the same morals, dedication, and respect for the animal are exhibited by the hunter. The awe of taking such a magnificent animal never goes away, and the appreciation for its bounty lasts long beyond the kill.
I've been using Louisiana fish fry products so much, even the kids are getting into it.
Bonio bag, pour and boil, a great crawfish every time.
And whether you're boiling crawfish, shrimp, or crabs, Louisiana fish fry products use the perfect blend of garlic, onion, spices, and salt for your seafood boils. So look for the bright yellow bag and pour and boil with Louisiana fish fry products.
We started, we were going to limit it to 50 members. Now they have 200 members in the club. And it's hard to believe the yachts that they have now compared to the ones that we started with. But now, at my age, I'm back here over in the Gulf fishing with good captains like Captain Mike and other captains that really, they look after their guests.
He has a fondness for fishing in the Biloxi Marsh. I have a fondness for fishing in the Biloxi Marsh, and our paths crossed 10 years ago, and I do what needs to be done to get him out there fishing. He's always positive, always complimentary of whoever he's fishing with, always thankful to be able to go fishing. If he catches a fish or two, he's just thrilled. And people like yourself and myself, we go that extra mile to give him that opportunity.
Whooping cranes are back in Louisiana. Through the hard work of biologists and key strategic partners, whooping cranes have been restored to the cultural icon they once were, but you can still help. To donate to the Whooping Crane program, visit lawff.org.
Thank you to Chevron and the Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries Foundation for their generous support.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Bayou Wild. You can check us out on social media as well. We have our Instagram page and our Facebook page where we post all kinds of extras from our excursions. And you can also check us out on YouTube as well. All of our episodes posted there in full.
Easiest way to shop for our Bayou Wild collection of hats and shirts too. Check it out, and we'll see you next week again with another edition of Bayou Wild.